Oh, just made it. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Now, we're going to talk about the virtual learning environment in this next session. This was something that we talked about on Saturday, and it's the home of all of your OU study space. It's where you can find lots of different things, where you know what you're going to do each week, and it has countless resources for you. But if you've never met a virtual learning environment, it may be somewhat foreign. So I have Tammy Alexander, who is a product development manager in our online student experience team. And over the last 2 years, the team have been developing a way in which we can have really meaningful and purposeful online spaces for students to be able to access this study. And so Tammy's one of the team on board. So I thought it'd be lovely if she came and showed you about our virtual learning environment. So Tammy, welcome. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks. And you, Karen?
I'm good,
thank
you.
I was there with you eating ice cream in the sun.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. It's so much better than the snow outside, I tell you that for sure. So, Tammy, how can students use their module website then to help them plan their studies? And where do they even go to find this?
Okay, so you would have seen from that video, that short video that was just playing, one of the key features to help you manage your studies is on the homepage of your module website. It's what we call the study planner. So that normally opens up in a 3-week view, but what it does is it breaks down your studies into a week-by-week view, so you can see what you need to do. And yeah, there's a slide in the background showing it. So what you've got all your weekly tasks, so you keep you on track. You've got progress tick boxes, which you can tick off and use yourself. So that it's completely up to you how you want to use your progress tick boxes, either ticking off your progress as you go along or trying to remind yourself where you need to go, where you were last. When you come into your module website, it will always show in the 3-week view, but that's just to remind you what you need to do and if there are any key deadlines that week. At the bottom of the planner, you're able to print out the planner so you can stick it up next to you on the wall, or you can also sync your calendar up. If you've got an Outlook calendar or Google, you can export all of those key dates into your Outlook or your personal calendar.
Brilliant. Yeah, we were talking on Saturday about how some students like to be able to print their calendars, so that print bottom's just at the bottom of the different views. And we also really like the progress bar as you're going along the route for it. So yes, that's absolutely fantastic. We've also got some online resources as well that HJ is going to share with everybody in the chat. So we've got the computing guide there that people can take a look at. So the module website, Tammy, then is one of the key things that people need to be able to find and access. How might students then start to use and interact with this space? Who sees it? What goes on in there?
Who sees it? Well, students see it. Obviously, your tutor's got access to your module website, so they know what you're studying and they can help you out. There are various people like the computing help desk that are there to support you as well if you get stuck on anything. But the key thing is that the module website is made up of, well, I suppose it depends on your module, because you could be studying with a book as well as your website. You could be entirely online. So invariably, there'll be a range of web pages and potentially PDFs of your print material that you'll be able to access and work through. But the main teaching takes place in the web content, and in there you'll have loads of things like activities, videos, audio, diagrams, and all sorts of stuff to help you, to support you while you're studying. And if you need to, and you need it in a different format, if you scroll down to the bottom of your page, there's a downloads button on the bottom of every web page, and you can actually download your content in different formats. So there's Word document formats, there's Mobi formats for Kindle if you're using Kindle, EPUB for e-readers on your mobile devices. So there's a range of different ways you can take your content and study it in the way that suits you. All module websites have a resources page. So if you click on your resources page, there's on the screen now is the downloads button. So there you go. There's a screen of the downloads button. So that's got all the different formats, and also linked to that, if you do like printing stuff out, because I know students do, there's a print version there. You can print stuff out, take your notes and scribble them by hand if you want to. So the resources page, which is showing now, has links to everything that you probably need in your module. It's an easy place to go to. Depending on your module, there'll be a range of things there, but most important, your module guide and your accessibility guide should be at the top of that page, easily accessible for you all the time, as well as links to the downloads area, which pulls together all the downloads from across the website, and links to library resources as well. So those are the resources that the library's found to help you support your learning.
Now, those are great, not only if, say, your book gets demolished by a dog, or you want to suddenly read something, or your materials aren't there, but sometimes those PDFs can be great. I've heard students using them to be read aloud. I've heard students using them for the search function, so that, for example, if they're writing an assignment on, say, inequality, they can go through and look throughout the module to see various strands of things that are there. So those alternative formats and resources are brilliant, not just for the initial reason intended, but people come up with really creative ways of using those. I wonder, Tammy, if we could look at slides 2 and 3, which show the module website and some of the web content, and our second point that we wanted to include. I think things like this are interesting because you mentioned the audio and visual material here as well, but we can also see that there are some activities that students can use when they're looking at bits of content. So they can watch these, but also in these discussion activities, I know some students say, what happens to what I write in there? Will my tutor see it? So what happens when students use these discussion boxes, and who can see what's in there, and what are they for, really?
No one else can see those boxes. They're there for you to use yourself. So they're mainly there to help you reflect on your learning and teaching. You don't need to worry they're not saved. No one has access to any of that content other than you. So they're purely there. So as you're going through your learning and your module, and you've been asked questions that have been set by the module team, or you've been asked to comment on stuff, if you use those boxes, it's personal. It's whatever helps you understand that learning and teaching point that's been made. So nobody else will see it. No one will be able to judge what's in there. It's purely there for you to use yourself in a way that helps you with your learning. So does that help, Karen? Is that the sort of thing that people were worried about?
Absolutely. And I think it's really nice to know that you can save your comments there and maybe go back and reflect on them later. And also that they know that, they're not there as a test, that they're there to enhance your own learning and be a space for you to write your thoughts in, and not something that your tutor will see, or somebody will say, oh, you haven't done X, Y, or Z. So those discussion activities we thought about were really like talking to, a friend in class. If the teacher said, oh, have a think about how this might apply. It's your chance to really talk to yourself and think about things, and then maybe hear the discussion that's been revealed from other people.
Karen, now, that's also
yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say, sorry. All those discussion things, if you filled them in, they should be exportable as well from the downloads page. So if you are recording them and you're saving them, you can then export them out, and then you've got them there as I think they come out in RTF or HTML format. So you've got them there that if you are using them to build up a TMA or an assessment, you can actually export them out, and you've got them there for record.
Brilliant. No, thank you. That's a really top tip. Very clever. Now, I wonder if you can give us some more top tips about ways in which students might use their module website. So you've been working on how to develop this, etc. There's a lot of content on the module website. We've seen the various sorts of tabs that are there, the assessment, the resources, the tutorials, etc. How might students, aside from the blatantly obvious, use those websites in the best possible way? So what are your top tips when you were redesigning the websites?
There are a few key little things. They weren't there initially when we started, when we redesigned the websites, and they mainly just come about from student feedback. So because there's so much content in a website, we've got a lot of feedback from people saying, I don't know where I was last. How do I find out where I was last? Am I able to bookmark content? So there are a couple of key little things in the VLE that we've added just to make things easier. So on the top of your planner, if you've been into any web pages, there's a link there that says last viewed. If you click on that, it will take you to the page that you last viewed. If you also go into a piece of content in a web content, at the start of that, there'll be a link there that takes you to the last viewed within that content page. And then also we added a bookmark feature on the side of, so you can see all of those now. So there's a bookmark feature on the side of every web page. So if you go into that, you can bookmark that content, you can add a note, you can call it whatever you want, something that makes sense to you. And those bookmarks are then saved, and they're saved at that you can easily access them and manage them, delete them, add more to them. On the bottom of your planner, there's a Save for Later link at the bottom of your planner. And if you click on that, all the links that you've saved across the module will be there. So you can call them whatever you want. This will help for TMA 1, this will help for TMA 2, or go back and reflect on this. That will help there. There's also a recent activity block on the side of your planner. And if you want to get into forums really quickly, that will show where the last, where all those conversations are happening. So you can easily click there without having to go to the forums link all the time. I'm using my hands and there's nothing behind me.
I know. It's the problem with remote environments, isn't it? We just can point. But yeah, that's brilliant. So we've looked at the forums. We're going to talk about those elsewhere and connecting with students because we're out of time. But I just wanted to plug a little sense that we do want feedback. So the way that you develop a lot of these things, as you said, was from student experience. And the last slide that we've got, slide 7, just shows a little way in which students can give feedback in terms of things. So there's a little feedback button which you encourage students to fill in, so you know stuff, isn't it?
Of course. On the bottom of every page is a feedback link. Me and other members of the team look at that on a monthly basis. We're looking at it all the time, and we're taking that on board. If there's any errors in the content, that gets sent to various people to fix in terms of typos and stuff like that, because things happen. We are all human. Anything else where people have ideas or things can be made better, or I really like this tool, but if you did this, this would make it better. We're looking through that all the time, looking for ideas and things that could make things better. The Save for Later link came from that. So did the bookmarking feature. And a lot of the improvements that we've done around assessments and making those easier to recognize came from student feedback as well. So I'd really, if there's anything you got, if you want to feed it back to us and tell us what we could be doing to make your experience better, send it on.
Brilliant. Excellent. No, and I'm sure people will do that. That's really wonderful. Tammy, thanks so much for coming along today and giving us some tips on the module website. It's really nice to meet real people here, and we've got lots of videos. There's a BOC, being an OU student, which will tell you all of the key things that you need to know in terms of this. But I think it's just nice to meet some of the designers behind these environments, knowing that they're real people there who are interacting with the stuff that you say, looking at the way that students experience things, and can give you some inside tips on how to make the most of those spaces. We're now going to show you a video, which is an online room familiarization, because next I'm going to talk to Zoe, who's very involved behind the scenes in our online rooms, our tutorial platform that we use, which some of you who came along on Saturday may now be familiar with already. So we'll ask for her advice on that next. But also, if you are nervous about using forums, we do have a short little course for students about using forums. It's called Building Confidence in Using Online Forums. It's an open learn, which means it's free and available for everybody. So if you do think, oh, I'm not quite sure about these forums and things, then why not take a look at that? And HJ will put a link to that in the chat. But we'll be back next with Zoe to look at the online rooms. I'll see you after the short video.